I want to make it to the point where you don't even really need me more than just occasional guidance, that you kind of learn your body and learn the signs and quit ignoring those signs and issues. And so, yeah, like you're talking about the pacing and stuff, to do 100 miles in 24 hours, you have to do 14:24 pace, 4.2 miles an hour. And it's funny, I was talking to Blanc about this morning when we were walking. I was like, everyone thinks civilians think they can walk 4 miles an hour. And no, they can't. They can walk 4 miles an hour for maybe 30 minutes, but even an hour, 4.2 miles an hour is fast. Blanc has been walking for 3 years now straight, and we go out and we're doing 3.3, 3.4 miles an hour. And if anybody saw us, they'd be like, those two are moving pretty quickly. And so your margin of error in a 100-mile race, I mean, in a 24-hour race to get 100 miles is very, very slim. You don't know as well, because you used to be able to crank them in 20 hours. And so when you told me, that you stopped at 50, I was like, well, that's good, because you're not going to probably get to 100, or you're going to have to bury yourself. And then I started thinking about your quest of, possibly trying to take the 100-mile record, that I kind of looked and counted Walter's just straight hundreds, not counting timed events. And I counted like 40 of them. Now, not of all of his races might be on Ultra Sign Up. And so I was almost wondering, is it possible that maybe you want to go for a strictly 100-mile record race? No timed events in any of it. Just going around the country and doing, and the reason, I mean, I know you're going, then I can't get the number, but the thing is, then it would be a pure kind of thing. And I think Liz Bauer, when she did it, she went straight through and just did straight hundreds.
I know that some people look at that, and in fact, it's funny, when I finished, people might have thought it, but only one person sent me an email. When I finished the 41, I got an email from someone that said, you didn't do 41 100-mile races. You did 41 races that were 100 miles or longer. Yeah. To me, that means, well, I would think that's even more impressive. But the point that he was making was that when you're doing a 24-hour race, that's not a 100-mile race. But here's the thing that to me is interesting. There are races like we talked about, they'll have a 2400-mile option, 24-hour 100-mile option. If you're doing the 24-hour race, you got to get your 100 miles in 24 hours, or for me, but yet the same event, the same loop course, if you're signing for the 100, they'll give you 30 hours. So it's like, but the person who sent me the email was the person whose male record I had broke. So, and he was like the purest of, he didn't come out right out and say it, because I broke his, at the time, Scott Brockmeyer, his girlfriend was Liz Bauer. Because of what happened that year, they ended up splitting up. But so his point was, you didn't break Liz Bauer's record truthfully, Ed, because all hers were pure hundreds. I'm like, wait a minute. I did 6 of her events with her, like Nanny Go. We did the exact same 1-mile loop. I did mine in under 24 hours. Yeah. She did 100 miles. She had up to 28 hours of the time to do it. But yet, because in your mind, well, yeah, but she signed up for the 100-mile race. So I see what you're saying, but here is a problem that I see. Many of the 100-mile races, and Walter's a much better trail runner than I am, they're trail hundreds. Those beat me up because of all the elevation up and down. And a 24-hour race, a flat 24-hour race, I could do really well at those and maybe finish 100 in 22 hours and then still stick around and do an extra 5 or 10 miles. Plus, it gives me the option of this. I can go to, like I'm going to do at Wyatt's race.
We talked about that.
I can sign up for the 72-hour and get over 100 miles done in that, and then also do his 100-mile race, so I can get 2 events at one location.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what? To me, if the purists look at what I'm going to do and they say, "Oh, that doesn't really count because yours weren't all exact 100-mile races," it's like, okay, then don't count it in your mind. Because when I did my 41. I actually ended up with over 4,800 miles, but it was 41 events because Badwater is 135 miles.
I'm not bringing it up more. I'm not really bringing it up as a purist type of thing. I'm bringing it up more practical, kind of tying into like you talked with I Run Far about older athletes competing and doing things, and that doing this would still be, I know you want to get a certain number in the year, but doing this would make your opportunities to finish the hundreds more possible, because you're not going to run into the issues you ran into like this weekend, where you go to a race and the course is difficult, the conditions are difficult. But like if they went to this race and it was a 100-miler and they gave you 30 hours, which is usually the standard 28, 38 hours, you're going to get those finishes every single time. Like I said, it's just an idea that I had, like that, you know, we talked about this in the last podcast, what's going to happen, you know, now that you know, back in the day, you could crank out 110, 115 miles in a 24 without too many issues. So you had a big cushion. Now you have a lot less cushion. And, you know, it's just, you know, as you get older, but also if you're trying to do even more of them, and then the travel and all that stuff. So like I said, it was just an interesting, I don't know if you could even rack up enough straight. I mean, not even, it's just like when you go to Nantigo, you don't sign up for the 24, you sign up for the 100 only. Or you go to like Nantigo like events.
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying instead of what my pattern has been in the past, where I would sign up for the 24, instead of doing that, sign up for the 100, so I give myself enough cushion.